So Hugh Freeze about a day ago mentioned that, and it's rumored to be a push for Jackson Arnold, obviously a big time transfer coming over from Oklahoma via the transfer portal. Now, Jackson Arnold is a guy, if you followed his career at Oklahoma at all, the success was not flowing, right? He was actually benched last year, and confidence has been an issue with him reportedly. And why wouldn't it be, right? Like, you come in as this big time quarterback, you go to Oklahoma, things don't pan out exactly how you would want, but you're still very good. So now you get a bag of money to play in the SEC at Auburn, right? A power. Maybe not right now, like X's and O's wise, but like Auburn is a storied program, and they could get right back on the map this year with a guy like Jackson Arnold. They have an amazing wide receiving core, which could or could not be on display on August 29th when they come to Waco to take on Baylor. But Hugh Freeze mentions, hey, we might play three quarterbacks. Now, whether that here's the deal. There's a couple things, right? That probably is. One, he might be, competition is good. He might be trying to push Jackson Arnold a little bit, right? Two, he may be trying to give the backups, and his backups are not necessarily like, scrubs. It's quite possible that, these guys are going to play in some form or another, whether it is like I mentioned Houston, right? Like Zion Chris, who started last season. He is such an athlete and he's still with the program. Like, he'll probably find his way onto the field this year. So I get it if, Auburn will use athletes, right, that are position player quarterbacks to kind of open up the offense. I totally get that. But he didn't say we'll see three quarterbacks, or, you might see, what was that? What the heck's the guy's name? I wrote it down here. Oh, okay. Deuce Knight and Ashton Daniels. Deuce Knight is like a phenomenal athlete, right? So he didn't say you might see them for us to kind of keep the foot on the gas offensive wise and keep Baylor guessing. No, he just said you might see him. So he may be trying to push Jackson Arnold. He may be trying to instill some kind of hope for the backups I mentioned, Deuce Knight and Ashton Daniels. Or three, he may be trying to keep Dave Aranda and Baylor on its toes. But four, and this is the one that Baylor faithful should be hoping for, he doesn't like what he's seen so far. And he really doesn't have a definite number one. Jackson Arnold hasn't grabbed that job. And that is the fact that we're talking about who might play quarterback for Auburn now, 8 days away from the game. That's a little suspect, and I think it's something that Baylor really could find to be an advantage for them. If you look around the country, there's a couple other situations that I can compare this to. In Colorado, I worry a little bit about Coach Prime, right? In a sense where you have Caden Salter, again, another marquee name who came over from Liberty, an amazing 2023 season. If you talk to people who watched him a lot last year, they would, truth serum, he may have regressed a little bit last year. So now he comes over to Colorado, still a high-profile, much ballyhooed quarterbacking prospect through the transfer portal, comes from Liberty to Colorado, and he's competing with a 5-star, 17-year-old Juju Lewis. Now, they have yet to name a starting quarterback in Colorado. That's another one where you look at that and you say, okay, maybe Juju Lewis is really making a push, right? But it's 17 years of age. And with zero big time college football experience, that is a little concerning if you're a Colorado fan, because I would imagine, I know I did, as somebody who calls games and will analyze them a little bit. That's analysts are there because a lot of times they played the game and coached the game. I played the game a little bit, but I'm not here to tell you that I'm Troy Aikman, breaking down Monday Night Football. But I will tell you that I don't like the fact that you've got Caden Salter battling it out with a 17-year-old for the starting job there. Conversely, I think if you look at what BYU has done by naming Bear Bachmeier their starting quarterback, that speaks to Okay. This was a situation for Kalani Sitake that you thought might have come down to the 11th hour, like it did last year for Jake Retzloff. Bear Bachmeier has been so head and shoulders above the rest of the competition that he was named starting quarterback, I guess, on Tuesday, right? So that to me says, for a guy who did not play spring ball at BYU, transferred from Stanford, who, by the way, they will play in the second game of the season. So that'll be super interesting. Bear Bachmeier and his brother Tiger going to play at Stanford. That'll be a game that I'm sure has a lot of eyeballs on it just for that reason. And then, of course, BYU is going to need to win that. But Bear Bachmeier winning that job says that he's wise beyond his years, which we had heard already. He's a very bright kid, which we had also heard that already. But it's very clear that all the hype you've heard around his skill set as a passer and as someone who can beat you with their legs, he might be the real deal, that is promising. Okay, way more promising than all these questions over here, right? When you look at Colorado or Auburn. Again, like we always say, more will be revealed, but that was something that grabbed me today when I looked at Auburn, and I was kind of digging a little deeper on that situation with Hugh Freeze saying he might play three quarterbacks or he could play three quarterbacks, whether it's smoke and mirrors, whether it is a lack of real direction, right? Taking hold of the job by Jackson Arnold, or whether it's just, hey, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what we're doing here. None of those signs are great for Auburn. So that's something we'll certainly be keeping an eye on, especially as they make their way to Waco here.